Hello, everybody, and welcome to another segment of the Real Mike Pittman podcast. Joining me on the show today is the Honorable Mayor of St. Louis, Missouri, Mayor Cara Spencer. Mayor Spencer, thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Sure. I know you have a busy schedule, and I have several questions for you. I want to kind of get right to them. But I guess my first question I would have, comment, I guess, is to congratulate you on your victory in winning the mayor of St. Louis, Missouri. You won rather handedly, I would say. And one of the questions I had is that you did extremely well in North St. Louis. What was it about your message that you feel that resonated specifically with the North St. Louis voters when you're talking about, over a 90% Black population? That was very amazing.
Well, I think my message of basic city services and really focusing on what city government, the delivery of service to our residents, I think that really resonated with folks. And you drive around North St. Louis, but really any neighborhood, we had a lot of room to improve on the basics like street paving, potholes, and trash removal. I think people across the city, regardless of what neighborhood you live in, really wanted to see an improvement on those basics. And so I really feel like that hit home. And, I got to spend a lot of time out in community while I was running for mayor, meeting people. So folks in neighborhoods across the city got to know me a little bit. And I think that was very helpful in establishing some trust and building the relationship that got me the results on what was it, April 8th. I think that was the election day. Boy, that seems like a lifetime ago.
Sure. And prior to becoming mayor, you were an alderman, correct?
That's right. I served both the 20th ward for 8 years, and then when we went through a redistricting, I served the 8th ward for an additional 2 years.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about I know as soon as you got sworn in, you had a major disaster down there with the tornado, and just kind of give an update on how's that going in terms of the tornado cleanup and, things of, individuals that might not have had insurance. Do you have any particular type of programs? Have you gotten any federal assistance to help to do anything down there?
Yes, on day 31, we had a massive EF3 tornado that really ripped through about 10 square miles of the city. It's been a challenge ever since, but we have been successful in some ways. We have FEMA support. Individual assistance has delivered over $50 million in direct aid to residents. And we also have some programs on home repair. And we are, getting all those programs out as we speak. They are not as fast as we'd like, but we're certainly focused right now on ensuring that we have shelter space and other things to get through the winter to make sure that every resident has a safe place to sleep, especially when temperatures get very low, which we expect them to do here very soon.
Because the damage was pretty massive, specifically in North St. Louis, and individuals that might or might not have insurance on properties and won't be able to get any type of assistance. Is there any fear of, gentrification taking place where someone can come in and just buy up a bunch of the properties and, pretty much change the landscape of that area? Has that been discussed, or has any conversations been had in that regard?
Well, we have, that is certainly on the docket. I think our focus right now is getting through winter, but as we go into spring and really set the stage, we've already set the stage, I should say, for community conversations around what the rebuild should look like. That is going to be a key component of ensuring that we have a rebuild that is inclusive and a path forward following the rebuild that retains the residents that we had before the tornado for decades, for lifetime after the tornado.
Sure. Another question here, I just thought about it as we talked about gentrification, is the NGA, the new federal facility that just opened up there. I believe it's open in the old Purigo area site. How is that going? And is that has that going, and has that spurred any other economic development in the area?
Yes, the NGA site opened earlier this year, about a month and a half ago. And, I would say there has been some economic development as a result of that, but we've got a lot of work to do on our end, I would say, to really capitalize on that massive investment on the part of the federal government here in the city of St. Louis. And we plan to do that in the years ahead.
Okay, there's a gentleman I've been kind of following here for the last couple of years or whatever, known for a while, that bought up a bunch of land down there. Is Paul McKee, and I know there was some legislation I think earlier this year where they wanted to maybe do eminent domain on some of the properties that he has, and I know he had a great big idea for North Side regeneration, I believe what the project was. Is there any movement on that, or what's your feeling on that project?
Well, it's been unfortunate, I would say, how the properties have really languished over the last several decades, I would say. We are looking to remedy that. And we've made it very clear. I've made it very clear that if we can't find a copacetic solution to ensuring that those properties are not held hostage, we will be moving forward as we need to regain control of those assets so that we can put them in the hands of folks that are willing to invest in our city.
Okay. Another question about the police department in St. Louis. I believe it's a little bit different than other cities in terms of who controls the police department. Can you talk on that? I believe is it controlled by the state, or do you pick the police chief, or how does that work in St. Louis?
Well, the city of St. Louis had controlled its police department until earlier this year, when under state law, there is now a governor-appointed board of police commissioners, of which I'm a member. And that's the governance structure of the police department at this time.
Okay.
And, it's been a challenge really to shift back into state control. My preference has been and remains to have control of our police department local.
Okay. Switching gears again, I know there was a big, huge settlement, I think a few years back from the Rams. I guess those monies or whatever that come into the city of St. Louis as a result of the Rams leaving. I believe was it $500 million or whatever that amount was. Has there been any discussion on how those funds are going to be utilized for the city? I just lost you, Mayor. Lost your video. We lost the mayor. Video feed. Mayor, can you hear me? We were interviewing Mayor Cara Spencer, the mayor of the city of St. Louis, and some reason we lost her video feed. So, I think we got her back here now. Let's check here. Okay, we lost you there for a second, Mayor. Sorry. Not sure what happened there, but and my last question was asking about the Rams settlement money. If there's been any discussion on how those funds are going to be spent.
Lots of robust discussion about that. We're in the throes of that and have been for a couple of years now. Our portion was about $250 million. We have spent a good chunk of the interest funds, about 34 million of that, on the response to the tornado. And the rest of it will be a topic of discussion for the coming weeks. We've been talking about how much of it will go into rebuilding North St. Louis, how much will go into rebuilding downtown, how much of it will go into infrastructure citywide. So there's a whole bunch of projects that we're considering as we move forward with those funds.
Speaking of downtown St. Louis, I know they they've had some issues with, I guess, crime or younger people congregating in certain areas of downtown St. Louis. And I know there's been some talk, I guess, from maybe some of the business owners or people that stay in that area. What's your plan on maybe trying to clean that up or bring some sort of resolve or to that area for the individuals that have businesses there and that reside there?
Well, given that, as we talked a little bit about earlier, I don't have unilateral control of our police department, but our chief is aware that one of my priorities is making sure that downtown is safe. We're also doing an enormous lift in supporting the business community down there. That's something we're doing in conjunction with the Greater St. Louis community, our St. Louis Development Corporation, and a handful of other partners to identify ways in which we can keep and retain the businesses that we have and really expand what we're calling sort of like the activation corridors, those streets, those corridors that should have a lot of foot traffic, and making sure that we're investing in what that looks like.
Yeah. Are there any other major developments that are on the table that you can speak about at this time, or companies that want to relocate to the St. Louis area?
Well, I could say, one of the exciting projects downtown that's undergoing right now is the Millennium Hotel. We're going to be redeveloping that site here in the coming years. That's really exciting. We just broke ground on the Mansion House, which is right alongside the Arch there as well, which will have a retail component, but be primarily residential. Those are some really exciting projects. The Union Station just expanded their offerings. They've now got a roller coaster and a handful of other rides that are really, really cool. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. We've got some bike lane infrastructure that's absolutely stunning on 7th Street that just went in. I'm really excited about some of the things that we've got going on downtown. The Jefferson is about to come online, and the list gets longer and longer every month.
Yeah, I actually grew up in the Peabody housing projects down there in St. Louis, so I'm pretty familiar with that area in terms of how it has taken shape, and specifically when I think about the Lafayette Square area. When I was a kid, it was one of the worst areas down there. Now you go by there now, Lafayette Square is it's a booming area. So and those old Victorian style homes, they have tons of them there in St. Louis. So I think the opportunity is ripe for individuals to come in and redevelop those things and really, bring some neighborhood pride. So it's really a good thing in St. Louis. One other question, Mayor, in terms of your administration, have you filled out your administration yet, or are you still looking for people, or are you
still looking for people? We've got a good number filled, but we've got active right now. We're looking for a director of communications as well as a social media specialist. We've also got an opening for an economic development specialist. So we've got some things that are open, and we're looking for some talent to come and join the team.
Sure. And I know it's pretty early right now in your administration, but do you have any other future plans, or are you just trying to get through this first term as mayor?
We're right now really focused on making sure we get through the winter while keeping everybody safe. That's a real key priority. That is the key priority for the administration as we go into the winter months.
Yeah. As far as the tourists, we know that the Arch is the prime jewel of the city of St. Louis as it relates to tourist attraction and individuals coming in, the old courthouse. How are those numbers been? I know we had COVID and it kind of shut down a lot of things.
COVID shut things down. The federal government shut down right now, as you well know. So I don't have any new numbers to share on that front. The Arch has been closed as a result of that, unfortunately. But numbers have been good, trending in the right direction. The old courthouse renovations are absolutely stunning. And so I would recommend strongly coming down and seeing the exhibit. It's absolutely beautiful what we've been able to do with that.
Sure. In terms of the neighborhoods, you got North St. Louis, and specifically I think about Delmar Boulevard. You got that dividing line. You go to one side of Delmar and it's one way, and then you go to the other side of Delmar, which is closer to Forest Park, where it's, you have these mega mansions or whatever. What can be done maybe to mend those two together, that they can both kind of operate off each other? Has there been any discussion on that? Or what's your
that's been age-old question, and I think something we're really working on as we build out the plan to rebuild following the tornado. But healing the Del Mar divide is something that is absolutely critical to the success of our city.
Yeah, and it's been that way. Yeah, been that way for some years. I formerly had an office down there on Del Mar Boulevard across from, I think it was Delmonico's, or I think they turned them into condos or something right now, but it was a big office building that sat there right on the corner or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's cool. Well, Mike, I've got time for one more question.
Sure. Maybe I'll ask you, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, that's a good question. I guess a nice way to end it. I would add by saying that, following, it's been a tough year for St. Louis following the tornado. It's been a really, really tough year for our community, but I have never been more hopeful about the future of our city. We are coming together in unprecedented ways to respond to the needs of the folks impacted by the tornado. And as we talked a little bit about earlier, I'm really excited about what the rebuild looks like, healing the Del Mar divide, really providing a more cohesive approach, a more cohesive future for the community impacted by the tornado and the city as a whole. There's a lot of exciting things going on downtown, and the future looks bright for the city of St. Louis. Thanks so much for having me on today, Mike. It was nice to meet you and chat a little bit about what we've been doing over the last 7 months in office.
Mayor, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know it took a little while to get this thing put together. I'd like to give a shout out to my cousin Freddie L, who kind of helped to facilitate this thing. Yeah. And like I say, anytime you need a platform, you like to come on the show and talk about things that you want to do, you have a platform here. So, Mayor, once again, thank you for your time, and you can get back to running the city of St. Louis.
Thanks so much, Mike, and I'll tell Freddie you said hi.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
All righty, and there you have it.